يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, O those who believe, إذا قمتم, when you intend إلى الصلاة, to read salah, فاغسلوا وجوهكم, wash your face, وأيديكم, and wash your arms, إلى المرافق, up to your elbows, وامسحوا برؤوسكم, and do masa of your head, وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين, and wash your feet up to your ankles. Now this verse is of Surah Al-Ma'idah, and from this particular verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is telling us the 4 farais, or the 4 obligatory acts of wuzu. They are: number 1, washing your face; number 2, washing your arms up to your elbows; number 3, doing masa of your head; and number 4, washing your feet up to your ankles. Now what do we mean by the farais of wuzu? What do we mean by the obligatory acts of wuzu? Now the farais of wuzu basically means that if you fail to do one of these 4 things, then your wuzu will not be done. So just say, for example, you were doing wuzu, but then you did not wash your face. So your wuzu is not done. So therefore the subsequent salah which you're going to read afterwards, that will not be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's very important that when we come to do wuzu, we do our wuzu properly. Inshallah later on when we start next week's lesson, I'll give you a practical demonstration on how to do wuzu. But the Holy Quran is saying that these things are farz and you have to do, without which your wuzu would not be done. Just very briefly, we're going to look at the first obligatory act, and that is فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ, wash your face. Now what is the meaning of face? Now face is basically an area which is from the tip of your forehead up to your chin, and from one earlobe to the other. So all that area is called the face. So therefore when you do wuzu, you have to make sure that every single area of every single part of this area, or every single hair, is washed or is wet for your wuzu to be done. If you missed a few things out, then your wuzu will not be accepted. Now just a few rulings here. Number 1 is, just say if a person is wearing contact lenses, so does he have to remove or take his contact lenses off before he does his wuzu? So the answer to that is no, because you have to wash the skin area. You don't have to wash your eyes. So even though washing your face is compulsory, but what we mean by face here is the skin area. So from the tip of the forehead up to your chin, and from one earlobe to the other, the skin area you have to wash. Because it's not compulsory for you to wash your eyes, you don't have to like put water in your eyes. So therefore, if you are wearing contact lenses, you don't have to remove it or take it off before you do your wuzu. You can have the contact lenses on and then do the wuzu. With regards to glasses, because obviously as you can see, glasses can be a preventive barrier in water reaching the inner part of, say, just below your eyes here, or just above the just below the eyebrows and so on. So therefore it's best that you take your glasses off and then do your wuzu, so that you make sure that the water reaches every single area around the eye. So that is one ruling. The second ruling is with regards to if there is some kind of paint or some kind of Tipex on your face, or just say for example lipstick, well it's not even on your face but just say on a woman's face and so on, or some makeup. So what will a person have to do? Now with regards to paints or Tipex and these kind of things, because these things act as a preventive barrier, they prevent water from reaching the skin. So therefore it is necessary that you remove the paint or the Tipex before you start your wuzu. So just say you may be painting, and sometimes when you're painting, obviously those who paint, they'll know that sometimes a bit of paint goes all over your face and so on, over your arms. So you have to make sure that you remove it firstly and then you start your wuzu. If you didn't remove it and you started wuzu, you washed your face and you washed your arms, then again your wuzu will not be done, because that paint is preventing water from reaching the skin. With regards to lipstick, now lipstick, it depends on what kind of lipstick the woman is wearing. But many of the lipstick nowadays, the ingredients are quite thick. So again, like paint and Tipex, it actually stops and prevents water from reaching the lips. By the way, the lips also, the outer part of the lips also has to be wet for your wuzu to be valid. So again, if someone or if a woman is wearing lipstick and she doesn't take it off and then she does a wuzu, so again, there's doubt whether that water has reached the lips or not. So therefore, it is advisable that she takes it off before she starts a wuzu. And the same you can say also applies for makeup as well, that it depends on what kind of makeup she is wearing. That if it's one of those thick makeups where it makes her face all white and so on, then again, it probably will prevent water from reaching the skin. So it is advisable that she takes it off and then she does a wuzu. So these are a few things which you need to keep in mind. Just a side ruling here is just generally, are women allowed to apply lipstick or makeup? So the answer is that because it is a form of beautification, it is a form of zina. So as long as a woman is doing it to please her husband, so that should be the main intention. If she's doing it to please someone who is not allowed, or a boyfriend or something, or just someone, she's going to a wedding and she wants to show off, then if she's wearing lipstick or makeup for those kind of reasons, for wrong reason, then that will be something which is unlawful and not allowed in Islam. But if you're doing it because her husband likes it, or she's doing it so that she can beautify herself for the husband, then as long as there is no unlawful ingredients inside the lipstick. Sometimes these lipsticks or makeups, they have animal fat inside. So as long as there is no unlawful ingredients inside the lipstick or inside the makeup, then it will be permissible and lawful for her to use. The next compulsory act which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions here, وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, is to wash your arms up to your elbows. So again, that is something which is compulsory in wuzu. You have to make sure that you wash your arms up to and including your elbows. Again, this is something where we sometimes kind of lack, is that we're doing wuzu sometimes very quickly and we don't wash our elbows. Again, if you don't wash your elbows, your wuzu would not be done. Or sometimes if you're wearing a big massive coat or a big jumper, then sometimes when you are doing wuzu, the jumper kind of like gets stuck onto the elbow and you don't actually expose the elbow when it comes to washing. So therefore you have to make sure that the elbow is washed for the wuzu to be done. And the third compulsory act, very quickly, is وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, is to do masa of your head. So you have it's compulsory to do 1/4 masa. Again, we will look at that in more detail next week. So you have to do 1/4 masa. However, it's sunnah to do masa of the whole head. And the fourth thing which is compulsory is وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ, is to wash your feet up to your ankles. So you have to make sure that your ankles are wet. You have to make sure that the area between the toes, sometimes some people, their toes are such that it's really like stuck together. So again, if you just do your wuzu without doing khilal in between the toes, then again your wuzu will not be done. So you have to make sure that water reaches the area below in between the toes for your wuzu to be accepted and for your wuzu to be valid. Inshallah, the second farz which we mentioned, i.e. washing your arms up to your elbows and doing masa of your head, and also regarding washing your feet up to your ankles, inshallah, this will be something which we will look at in detail in next week's lesson. So inshallah, we will leave it here for this week. Another thing which I need to mention is that this lesson here is going to be every week. I think on the poster it doesn't actually say whether it's every week or every month, whatever, whether it's a one-off lesson. Inshallah, it will be going on for every week. So inshallah, next week after Maghrib, this lesson will continue. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to act upon what has been said. Wa akhiru da'wan alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. So if you have any questions they would like to ask, or could ask afterwards if you want to.
You know how you were saying that the face has to be wet. What about oil or Vaseline?
Very good question, yeah. Yes, so the answer depends on whether it's preventing or not. Just generally speaking, like those baby oils and so on, they don't actually prevent water from reaching. You could actually feel the water, so that's okay. But if it's one of those thick kind of oils or something like, again, Vaseline, if it's say concentrated in one area, you put a lot there, and you kind of assume, or you're thinking that the water isn't reaching the skin underneath, then you will probably have to remove it before you start your wuzu. Okay. الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا ورزقا طيبا وشفاء من كل داء صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.